The email arrived on a Tuesday, buried beneath a mountain of appointment confirmations and insurance claim denials. Dr. Anya Sharma nearly deleted it without a second glance. The subject line, urgent inquiry, was generic. The sender, a nondescript KC management, equally uninspiring. But something, a nagging intuition, perhaps, compelled her to open it. The message was brief, almost clinical. It stated that a client, a Mr. G. Chang-wook, was seeking a therapist for his daughter. The daughter, named Suman, suffered from a rare and debilitating form of selective mutism. Traditional therapies had proven ineffective. Mr. G was prepared to offer a substantial sum, $8 million, for a complete and lasting cure. Anya reread the email, her fingers trembling slightly as she scrolled back to the figure, $8 million. It was an obscene amount of money, enough to solve all her financial worries, to fund her research, to finally open the non-profit clinic she had dreamed of since medical school. But it also felt wrong. Corrupted, almost. She practiced in a small, unassuming office above a Korean bakery in Flushing, Queens. Her patients were mostly immigrants, struggling with language barriers, cultural adjustments, and the everyday anxieties of a new life. They paid what they could, often in small, crumpled bills. She helped them because she wanted to, because she believed in the power of connection and healing, not for the promise of extravagant wealth. Still, $8 million. The sheer weight of it pressed down on her. She imagined what she could do with that kind of money, the lives she could change. And then she thought of Suman, a little girl trapped in silence, desperate for a voice. Anya spent the rest of the day wrestling with the email. She consulted with her mentor, Dr. Lee, a seasoned psychiatrist who had seen it all. Dr. Lee listened patiently, his face etched with years of wisdom and weariness. Anya, he said finally, his voice low and steady, money can complicate things. It can corrupt even the best intentions. Be careful. I know, Anya replied, her voice barely a whisper. But what if I can help her, Dr. Lee? What if I'm the only one who can? Dr. Lee sighed. Then you must proceed with caution. Remember why you became a therapist in the first place. Let that be your guide. The next morning, Anya replied to the email. She agreed to meet with Mr. G. Chang-wook. The meeting took place not in her humble office in Flushing, but in a sprawling penthouse overlooking Central Park. Anya felt a pang of unease as she stepped out of the elevator and into the opulent foyer. The air was thick with the scent of expensive flowers and hushed expectation. A woman in a crisp black suit led her through a series of impeccably decorated rooms, each more lavish than the last. Finally, she was ushered into a large, sunlit study. Ji Chang-wook stood by the window, his back to her. He was taller than she expected, and his shoulders were broad, conveying an impression of quiet strength. He turned as she entered, and Anya felt a jolt of surprise. He was even more handsome in person than in the photographs she had seen online. His eyes, however, held a deep sadness, a profound weariness that belied his youthful appearance. Dr. Sharma, he said, his voice low and resonant. He extended his hand. Thank you for coming. Anya shook his hand, her palm slightly damp. Mr. G. It's a pleasure to meet you. Please, call me Chang-wook. He gestured to a chair. Please, sit down. They sat in silence for a moment, the only sound the distant hum of the city below. Anya studied him, trying to gauge his sincerity, to understand the desperation that had driven him to offer such an extraordinary sum. I understand you're seeking therapy for your daughter, Anya began, breaking the silence. Chang-wook nodded, his gaze fixed on a point somewhere beyond her. Suman hasn't spoken in almost 2 years. She was a bright, happy child, until... He trailed off, unable to finish the sentence. Until what? Anya prompted gently. He hesitated, then took a deep breath. Until the accident. He finally said. A car accident. Her mother, my wife, she didn't make it. Suman was in the car too. She survived, physically unharmed. But, something inside her broke. Anya felt a wave of sympathy wash over her. She knew that trauma could manifest in countless ways, that silence could be a shield, a prison, a desperate plea for help. I've tried everything, Chang-wook continued, his voice thick with emotion. Every specialist, every therapy. Nothing has worked. They say it's psychological, that she's locked herself away in her own mind. But I know she's still in there. I can see it in her eyes. He turned to face Anya, his gaze intense, pleading. I'm desperate, Dr. Sharma. I'll do anything to get my daughter back. I understand, Anya said softly. And I want to help. But I need you to understand something. There are no guarantees in therapy. I can't promise a cure. I can only promise to do my best. Chang-wook nodded slowly. I understand. But you're different. I've read your research. I've spoken to your colleagues. They say you have a gift, a way of connecting with people that others don't. Please, Dr. Sharma. Give Sumin a chance. He paused, then added, his voice barely audible, she's all I have left. Anya looked into his eyes and saw the raw, unfiltered pain of a grieving father. She saw the desperation, the hope, the unwavering love for his daughter. And in that moment, she knew that she had to try. Okay, she said. I'll take the case. Chang-wook's face lit up with a flicker of hope. Thank you, Dr. Sharma. Thank you. But, Anya continued, holding up a hand, I have some conditions. Chang-wook's brow furrowed slightly. Conditions? Yes. First, I don't want the money. Chang-wook stared at her, his expression incredulous. But? I offered $8 million. I know, Anya said. But I don't need it. And I don't want it to influence my work. I want to help Sumin because she needs help, not because there's a fortune at stake. Chang-wook remained silent for a long moment, processing her words. Finally, he nodded slowly. Okay. If that's what you want. Second, Anya continued, I need complete control over Sumin's treatment. I'll need to assess her, develop a treatment plan, and implement it without interference. I'll keep you informed, of course, but I need you to trust my judgment. That's not a problem, Chang-wook said quickly. I trust you completely. And finally, Anya said, taking a deep breath, I need you to be involved. I need you to be present, to be supportive, to be patient. This isn't something I can do alone. Sumin needs you. Chang-wook's eyes filled with tears. I will be, he said, his voice choked with emotion. I promise. I'll do anything. Anya nodded. Okay. Then let's get started. And so began Anya's journey with Sumin, a journey that would challenge her skills, test her resolve, and ultimately, surprise everyone. The path ahead was uncertain, fraught with obstacles and setbacks. But Anya was determined to unlock the silence that held Sumin captive, to help her find her voice, and to heal the wounds that had shattered her world. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but she also knew that with compassion, patience, and a little bit of luck, anything was possible. The pressure was immense, not just from the weight of Chang-wook's expectations, but from the knowledge that a little girl's future hung in the balance. And Anya Sharma was ready to face it all. The first session was scheduled for the following week. Anya spent the intervening days researching Sumin's case, poring over the reports from previous therapists, and trying to understand the specific nature of her trauma. She learned that Sumin had been incredibly close to her mother, sharing a bond that went beyond the ordinary. The loss, compounded by the fact that she was present during the accident, had clearly been devastating. Anya also spoke with Dr. Lee, her mentor, seeking his counsel on the ethical implications of the case. It's a tricky situation, Anya, Dr. Lee said over the phone. The money is certainly a factor, even if you've declined it. The pressure to succeed will be immense. You need to be clear about your boundaries, both with Mr. G and with yourself. I know, Anya replied. That's what worries me. I don't want to get caught up in trying to cure her to justify the attention and the resources. I just want to help her heal. Then focus on that, Dr. Lee advised. Focus on building a connection with Sumin, on creating a safe space for her to express herself, however she chooses to do it. The rest will follow. Anya took his words to heart. When the day of the first session arrived, she was prepared. She had transformed her office into a welcoming, child-friendly space, filled with toys, art supplies, and comfortable cushions. She wanted Sumin to feel safe, to feel like she could be herself without judgment. Chang-wook arrived with Sumin promptly at the scheduled time. He looked tired, but his eyes held a glimmer of hope. Sumin, however, remained withdrawn, her gaze fixed on the floor. She was a small, fragile-looking girl, with wide, expressive eyes that seemed to hold a universe of sadness. "Hello, Sumin," Anya said gently, kneeling down to her level. "My name is Anya. It's very nice to meet you." Sumin didn't respond. She simply stared back at Anya, her face expressionless. "It's okay if you don't want to talk," Anya continued. "You don't have to say anything you don't want to say. We can just spend some time together, if that's okay with you." She gestured towards the toys and art supplies. "We can play with these, or draw, or just sit quietly. Whatever you feel like doing." Sumin remained silent, but Anya noticed a flicker of interest in her eyes as she glanced at a set of colorful crayons. "Would you like to draw something?" Anya asked. Sumin hesitated for a moment, then slowly nodded. Anya smiled. "Great. What would you like to draw?" She offered Sumin a blank sheet of paper and the crayons. Sumin took them, her small fingers trembling slightly. She looked at the paper for a long time, as if searching for inspiration. Then, slowly, she began to draw. She drew a house, a simple square with a pointed roof. Then she drew a sun, a bright yellow circle in the corner of the page. And then, she drew a car. As she drew the car, her hand began to shake more violently. Her breath came in short, shallow gasps. Anya watched her closely, her heart filled with compassion. She knew that this was a breakthrough, that Sumin was finally beginning to confront the trauma that had silenced her. The car she drew was detailed, almost obsessively so. But it was also damaged. The front was crumpled, the windshield shattered. And next to the car, she drew two figures. One was lying on the ground, motionless. The other was standing beside it, small and alone. Tears began to stream down Sumin's face. She didn't make a sound, but her body shook with silent sobs. Anya reached out and gently placed her hand on Sumin's shoulder. "It's okay to cry, Sumin," she said softly. "It's okay to feel sad. You're safe here." Sumin leaned into Anya's touch, her small body trembling. She continued to cry, her tears soaking the paper. Anya held her close, offering comfort and support. She didn't try to stop her tears, or to offer empty platitudes. She simply allowed her to feel her pain, to release the emotions that had been bottled up inside her for so long. Chang-wook watched from the corner of the room, his face etched with worry. He wanted to rush to his daughter's side, to comfort her, but he knew that Anya had asked him to stay back, to trust her process. It was the hardest thing he had ever done, but he knew that he had to do it for Sumin. After what seemed like an eternity, Sumin's sobs began to subside. She pulled away from Anya, wiping her tears with the back of her hand. Her face was red and blotchy, but her eyes seemed clearer, lighter. Anya smiled at her. "Thank you for sharing that with me, Sumin," she said. "It takes a lot of courage to do that." Sumin looked at the drawing, then back at Anya. She didn't say anything, but Anya saw a glimmer of gratitude in her eyes. "Would you like to draw something else?" Anya asked. Sumin shook her head. "Okay," Anya said. "Maybe next time. For now, how about we just sit here quietly for a few minutes?" Sumin nodded. Anya and Sumin sat in silence for a few minutes, the only sound the gentle hum of the air conditioner. Anya could feel the tension slowly draining from Sumin's body. She knew that this was just the beginning, that there was a long road ahead. But she also knew that they had made a breakthrough, that Sumin had taken the first step towards healing. As Chang-wook drove them home, he glanced at Sumin in the rearview mirror. She was asleep, her face relaxed and peaceful. He couldn't remember the last time he had seen her look so calm. He knew that Anya was right, that there was hope for his daughter. And for the first time in a long time, he felt a flicker of hope for himself as well. The following weeks were a slow, painstaking process. Anya continued to meet with Suman twice a week, using a variety of therapeutic techniques to help her process her trauma. She used art therapy, play therapy, and even some elements of cognitive behavioral therapy, adapting her approach to meet Suman's individual needs. Some days were good, with Suman engaging in the sessions and showing signs of progress. Other days were difficult, with Suman retreating back into her shell, refusing to speak or even make eye contact. Anya learned to be patient, to be persistent, and to trust the process. She also worked closely with Chang-wook, providing him with guidance and support. She encouraged him to spend quality time with Sumin, to create a safe and loving environment for her at home. She also helped him to understand the importance of validating Suman's feelings, of allowing her to grieve without judgment. One afternoon, after several months of therapy, Anya decided to try something different. She took Suman to a nearby park, a place filled with children playing and laughing. She wanted to expose Suman to the sounds of joy, to remind her that there was still happiness in the world. At first, Suman was hesitant, clinging tightly to Anya's hand. She seemed overwhelmed by the noise and the activity. But Anya gently encouraged her to explore, to observe, to simply be present in the moment. They sat on a bench and watched the children play. Anya pointed out the different games they were playing, the funny faces they were making, the sheer joy on their faces. Slowly, Suman began to relax. She even cracked a small smile as she watched a group of children chasing pigeons. Then, something unexpected happened. A little girl, about Suman's age, approached them. She was holding a bright red balloon. "Hello," the little girl said shyly. "Do you want to play?" Suman looked at Anya, her eyes wide with apprehension. Anya smiled and nodded encouragingly. "It's okay, Suman," she said. "You can play if you want to." Suman hesitated for a moment, then slowly nodded. The little girl beamed. "Great! What's your name?" Suman didn't answer. "Her name is Sumin," Anya said gently. "She's a little shy." "That's okay," the little girl said. "My name is Hannah. Come on, let's play." Hannah took Suman's hand and led her towards the other children. Anya watched as Sumin hesitantly joined in their games. She didn't speak, but she smiled. She laughed. She ran. Anya felt a lump in her throat. This was it, she thought. This was the breakthrough she had been waiting for. Sumin was finally beginning to reconnect with the world, to find her way back to happiness. As the sun began to set, Anya and Sumin walked back to the car, hand in hand. Sumin was tired, but her eyes sparkled with a newfound joy. When they reached the car, Sumin turned to Anya and, in a voice barely above a whisper, said, "Thank you." Anya's heart soared. It was the first time Sumin had spoken to her directly. It was the first time she had heard her voice. "You're welcome, Sumin," Anya said, her voice choked with emotion. As they drove away, Anya looked at Sumin in the rearview mirror. She was smiling, a genuine, radiant smile that lit up her entire face. And in that moment, Anya knew that she had done it. She had helped Sumin find her voice, to heal her wounds, and to reclaim her life. She hadn't cured her, not in the way Chang-wook had perhaps initially hoped, but she had given her something far more valuable, the tools to heal herself. The news spread quickly. Chang-wook was overjoyed, overwhelmed with gratitude. He called Anya, his voice trembling with emotion. "Thank you, Dr. Sharma," he said. "Thank you for giving me my daughter back." Anya smiled. "You're welcome, Mr. G. But Sumin did all the hard work. I just helped her along the way." Later that week, Anya received a letter from Chang-wook. Inside, along with a heartfelt note of thanks, was a check. Not for $8 million, but for a much smaller sum. "I know you didn't want the money," the note read. "But I wanted to do something to show my appreciation. Please use this to help other children who need it." Anya smiled. She knew exactly what she would do with the money. She would use it to start a foundation, to provide free therapy to children who had experienced trauma. She would use it to help them find their voices, to heal their wounds, and to reclaim their lives. She had surprised everyone, not by performing a miracle cure, but by reminding them of the simple power of compassion, patience, and human connection. And in doing so, she had not only changed Suman's life, but her own as well. Anya pinned the check and Chang-wook's note to her office bulletin board, a constant reminder of the transformative power of their work. The foundation, christened Suman's Voice, became her passion project. She poured her energy into securing funding, recruiting therapists who shared her empathetic approach, and establishing partnerships with local schools and community centers. Dr. Lee, her mentor, was among the first to volunteer his time, offering guidance and support as Anya navigated the complexities of running a nonprofit. Months blurred into a whirlwind of grant applications, meetings, and late nights spent crafting outreach programs. Anya found herself increasingly drawn to the administrative side of therapy, recognizing the systemic barriers that prevented so many children from accessing the mental health care they desperately needed. She still saw patients, of course, but her focus had shifted, her ambition now encompassing a broader reach. One afternoon, while reviewing applications for the Foundation's first round of grants, Anya received an unexpected call. It was Mr. Ji Chang-wook. Dr. Sharma, his voice was even, but Anya could detect a hint of nervousness. "I was hoping you might have some time to meet. It's about Sumin." Anya's heart skipped a beat. Had Sumin regressed? Was she struggling again? "Of course, Mr. G. Is everything all right?" "Sumin is, well, she's doing remarkably well. But there's something I need to discuss with you, something I think you should know." They agreed to meet the following day at a small cafe near Anya's office. The next morning, Anya found herself unusually anxious. She replayed their last session with Sumin in her mind, searching for any missed cues, any signs of underlying distress. Chang-wook was already waiting when she arrived at the cafe. He looked tired, but his eyes held a familiar warmth. Sumin wasn't with him. "Thank you for meeting me, Dr. Sharma," he said, gesturing to a chair. "Of course, Mr. G. Please, tell me, what's going on?" He took a deep breath, then began to speak. "Sumin has been asking about her mother. A lot. She remembers very little of the accident, of course, but she's starting to ask questions about who her mother was, what she was like." Anya nodded understandingly. This was a natural part of the grieving process, a sign that Sumin was ready to confront her past. "I've been telling her what I can, of course," Chang-wook continued. "But there's something I haven't told her. Something I've been keeping from her for a long time." He paused, his gaze fixed on his hands. Her mother, she wasn't just a passenger in the car. She was driving. Anya's breath caught in her throat. The implications of this revelation were immense. Suman's trauma wasn't just about the loss of her mother, it was about the potential guilt and confusion surrounding her mother's role in the accident. "Why haven't you told her?" Anya asked gently. "I was afraid," Chang-wook admitted. "Afraid of how she would react, afraid that it would undo all the progress she's made. I wanted to protect her." Anya understood his fear, but she also knew that withholding the truth, however painful, would ultimately be more damaging. "Mr. G," she said softly, "I understand your desire to protect Sumin, but she needs to know the truth. She deserves to know the truth. It's a crucial part of her healing." Chang-wook looked up at her, his eyes filled with anguish. But how do I tell her? How do I explain that her mother, that she might have been responsible? We'll do it together, Anya said firmly. We'll prepare her, we'll support her, and we'll help her process her feelings. It won't be easy, but she's strong, and she's capable of handling the truth. Over the next few weeks, Anya worked closely with Chang-wook to develop a plan for telling Sumin about her mother's role in the accident. They decided to start by gently introducing the topic of the accident, focusing on the facts without assigning blame. They would then gradually reveal the truth, emphasizing that accidents happen and that Sumin's mother would never intentionally harm her. When the day finally arrived, Anya felt a knot of anxiety in her stomach. She met Chang-wook and Sumin at their home. Sumin seemed cheerful, oblivious to the weight of the conversation that lay ahead. They sat together in the living room, surrounded by family photos. Chang-wook took Sumin's hand. "Sumina," he began, his voice trembling slightly, "there's something important we need to talk about." He explained, slowly and carefully, what he knew about the accident. He told her that her mother had been driving, that the road had been slippery, and that the accident had been unavoidable. He emphasized that it was an accident, and that no one was to blame. Sumin listened silently, her eyes wide with confusion. When Chang-wook finished speaking, she didn't say anything. She simply stared at him, her face blank. Anya gently took Sumin's other hand. "Sumin," she said softly, "it's okay to feel confused, or sad, or angry. It's okay to feel whatever you're feeling." Tears welled up in Sumin's eyes. She looked from Anya to her father, her face crumpling. Then, she began to cry, a deep, wrenching sob that seemed to come from the depths of her soul. Chang-wook wrapped his arms around her, holding her tightly as she wept. Anya stayed close, offering silent support. The tears eventually subsided, leaving Sumin exhausted and emotionally drained. She looked up at Anya, her eyes red and swollen. "Why didn't you tell me?" she whispered. Chang-wook squeezed her hand. "I wanted to protect you, Sumina. I was afraid of hurting you." "But I needed to know," Sumin said, her voice barely audible. "I needed to know the truth." Anya nodded. "She's right, Mr. G. The truth, however painful, is always better than lies and secrets." Over the following weeks, Anya continued to work with Sumin, helping her process her feelings about her mother's role in the accident. They explored her guilt, her anger, and her grief. Anya helped her understand that accidents happen, that her mother didn't intentionally hurt her, and that she was not responsible for what happened. Slowly, Sumin began to heal. She started to talk more openly about her mother, sharing memories and stories. She even started to visit her mother's grave, leaving flowers and whispering messages. One day, as they were walking in the park, Sumin stopped and looked at Anya. "Thank you, Dr. Sharma," she said. "Thank you for helping me understand." Anya smiled. "You're welcome, Sumin. But you did all the hard work. You're the one who found the strength to face the truth." Sumin smiled back, a genuine, radiant smile that lit up her face. Anya realized that Sumin wasn't just healing from her trauma, she was growing, evolving, becoming a stronger, more resilient person. And Anya, in turn, was learning from Sumin, from her courage, her vulnerability, and her unwavering spirit. The $8 million that Chang-wook had initially offered seemed like a distant memory, a symbol of a desperate father's love and a therapist's unwavering commitment. The true reward, Anya knew, was not financial, but the profound connection she had forged with Sumin and Chang-wook, and the knowledge that she had made a real difference in their lives. And as Sumin's voice continued to grow and expand, Anya knew that she was just beginning to make a difference in the lives of countless other children as well. The progress Sumin made was undeniable. She started attending school regularly, participating in class, and even making friends. Chang-wook, too, seemed lighter, the perpetual worry lines on his face softening into genuine smiles. He stopped hovering, giving Sumin the space she needed to grow and explore the world on her own terms. One afternoon, Chang-wook visited Anya at her office. He seemed hesitant, shifting his weight from one foot to the other. "Dr. Sharma," he began, I haven't forgotten my offer." Anya raised an eyebrow, surprised. "Mr. G, we never spoke of that again. And frankly, it's not necessary. Sumin is thriving, and that's payment enough." He shook his head. No. I made a promise. And it's not just about the money. It's about gratitude. About showing you how much your help has meant to us." He reached into his briefcase and pulled out a check. "Please, accept it. Not as payment, but as a gift." Anya hesitated. The sum was substantial, enough to significantly expand her practice and reach more children in need. But accepting it felt complicated. "Mr. G, I appreciate the gesture, but I'm not sure I can accept such a large amount." He looked at her pleadingly. "Please, Dr. Sharma. It would mean a lot to me. Think of it as an investment in other children like Sumin. An investment in hope." Later that evening, Anya found herself at Dr. Lee's office. The older therapist listened patiently as she recounted the conversation with Chang-wook. "He wants to give me the money, Dr. Lee. He says it's not payment, but a gift. An investment in helping other children." Dr. Lee stroked his chin thoughtfully. "And what do you think, Anya? Is it a gift, or is it something else?" "I don't know," she admitted. "It feels like it blurs the lines. I'm worried about the ethical implications." "Ethics are rarely black and white, Anya. They exist in the gray areas, in the nuances of human interaction. Was your treatment of Sumin compromised by the potential of this money? Did it influence your decisions or your approach?" Anya thought for a moment. "No. I treated her as I would any other patient. My focus was always on her well-being, not on the potential financial reward." "Then perhaps it is a gift," Dr. Lee said gently. "A gift born of gratitude and a genuine desire to help others. The question is, what will you do with it? How will you use it to honor that intention?" Anya considered his words. She knew she could use the money to expand her practice, hire more therapists, and offer services to underprivileged families who couldn't afford treatment. She could create a foundation dedicated to helping children with selective mutism and other communication disorders. "I think," she said slowly, "I would use it to create a scholarship fund. To provide therapy for children from low-income families who desperately need help but can't afford it." Dr. Lee smiled. "That sounds like a wonderful way to honor Mr. G's generosity and to continue the work you've started with Sumin." The next day, Anya called Chang-wook and told him she would accept his gift, but with a condition. "I will accept the money, Mr. G, but I want to use it to establish a scholarship fund in Sumin's name. It will help other children access the therapy they need, regardless of their financial situation." Chang-wook was overjoyed. "That's wonderful, Dr. Sharma. That's exactly what I hoped for." And so, the Sumin Scholarship Fund was established. It quickly became a beacon of hope for families struggling to afford therapy for their children. Anya found herself not only treating patients but also managing the fund, reviewing applications, and working with local organizations to identify children in need. One afternoon, a new patient arrived at Anya's office. A young boy named Miho, who had stopped speaking after witnessing a violent incident in his neighborhood. He was withdrawn and anxious, his eyes filled with fear. As Anya began working with Miho, she was reminded of Sumin. The same quiet despair, the same desperate need for connection. She knew that the road ahead would be challenging, but she was determined to help him find his voice again.